Well, hello, model car fans. Welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Raul, and here I'm reviewing and going over a project that has been off and on my desk for a number of years, going back to 2021, so about 4 years. And it's made an appearance here or there on my channel, but never really been formally introduced, I should say, this particular project. I tend to do that with a lot of projects. Is like it needs some work. It needs some. Can I, do this? Can I get that? And can I get it to a certain point where I get excited and want to build it? Well, that's where I'm at with this one. But I've tinkered with it and played with it and everything. But for a little history for you guys, this particular one, this is a '73 Corvette Manta Ray, and it's carved in the bottom that's what it is. But this is a resin kit body, pretty much, with some parts. And it kind of came my way through the channel, actually. So a little quick history is um, through Jerry Chevalier. Here's a picture of the build I did. But this one is a '69 Corvette Baldwin Motion Phase 3 GT. And I started with a resin kit of his that was partially built, and I stripped it, rebuilt it, and that was the result of that build. But there was a number of videos on it, but that was early in the channel's life. Well, another viewer, I'll just kind of leave his name out of there, but he knows who he is. Um, he had this and another one, actually. The other Baldwin Motion orange one here was his body as well, and I built that one. Well, he also gave me this one, which I did offer to pay for these kits because I really wanted them. But he gave them to me to build, and I've been excited about doing them ever since. But I don't want to burn out too much on one particular project. So that's where this one came from as well. Now, unfortunately, he said there was something he offered kind of on the side 20 years ago, so these are not available. Sorry to say, and so that's kind of why I'm not really, I'll give him credit for it, but I'll do it privately, which he knows. But I wasn't going to publicly put it on there because, I know he's not offering them, unfortunately. But for what I got here, um, it's a chunk of resin. But here's a couple of pictures of what I got, and there's 5 of them here, real quick, of the basic kit, and you can see what's going on with these videos or pictures as they scroll across the screen here. But getting back to this, right now I've done a lot of the body work. I got the base coat on it, got some clear on the mirrors. This is pretty much ready. One of the things I am kind of doing, which is kind of sitting, another little trick here, is here's the original decals that I got with them, and they look really good. And I'm planning on using them. I hope there's no issues. I did scan them. I also, photocopied them and made that way I have a pattern and everything in case I need another decal maker to make them again. But, one of the photocopies, I've made these stripes here to help me figure out exactly where I need to black out. So I can lay this on here, know where the black goes, lay it on there, and figure out exactly where some of it goes. And this helps me. This is a great tip, but it helps me know that I need to black out back here and this whole tail panel. There's a pinstripe that goes on this side, but most of the spoiler is red. I'll need to black this out. But this whole stripe here would be the decal. But it also tells me how much of this I don't really need, and I can here, and it wraps around the flare here. And then also there's some right there. So with the '73 Manta Ray, kind of copying the, I won't say one and only anymore because supposedly 3 of these were built. One has been known to exist. Another one recently turned up on YouTube, and some debate on whether it's real or not. I personally hope it's real, but it's really cool. But, I made these templates to help me figure out what I need to black out. This is the one that goes across the front, so I know where to lay the masking tape and everything. But that also gives me an idea on how these decals are going to fit and where they're going to lay. So it's a nice little tip, but getting on it. But with that donor kit here, I'm just kind of going through like all the parts I've got here. Some of them you can't see. Let me kind of move them into the camera. So, obviously some things like this, like here's the wheels. I got to clean up some of the stuff on the bottom side. Looks like this one still has some silicone on it. But there's the wheels. I've got all these tires, but it seems like I got 2 sets of rears. And I'll figure out what I'm using for the fronts, but maybe it's supposed to be all 4 of these. Not 100% sure, but I'll figure that out as I go. A little rough on the inside, but still, those are presentable. Axles and screws from the donor kit. Here's the chassis from the donor kit. It doesn't have an engine, but then again, this is a huge chunk, and I wasn't gonna hollow it out. I did some test fitting. Like, let me dump out the interior tub. Here's the interior. I know this fits. It lays up in there. It had this huge, massive bubble, which I think is one of the reasons why he held on to it. I filled that with resin on my own, so that's me pouring more resin in there to fill in that really thin spot, which it didn't come through, but filling that in. And then, making sure the chassis fits. So, I got the full exhaust. I haven't decided if I'm going to try and ground that out or not worry about it. I did grind the exhaust tips off because there's no roll pan for them to poke through. But this is just like quick mock-up, and it fits fairly nicely, so I'm pretty happy with all of that. But I started going over the rest of it and realizing, I've got extra stuff. So I do know I need the chassis, the wheels. I got 2 interior tubs. But the rest of this is really, really nice. It's got some holes here. Not really sure why they're there. But they can, be filled, or they're hidden behind the seat, so it really doesn't matter. But it doesn't really look like hardly anything's changed of this, other than I could have cut this off and these off and maybe used this. But it looks like it was redone in here to maybe clearance the bigger tires in the back a little better versus this one. So I'm not really sure, but since this is so nice and it fits, I'm going to keep this one. And I don't really need this one. It's just going to go in my pile that I don't need. Continuing with the interior, here's the glass from the donor kit, but it doesn't fit right away. So I can see right away that I need to remove these ears. And of course, the whole back window is not needed. So I got to remove the ears, and I'll probably remove it right here and cut it there. And then somehow I got a scratch or 2 in it. So hopefully that polishes out. But that's for my donor kit. With it, I got 2 interiors basically. The whole dash here. There's a bubble in the column mount right there, and there's some cleaning up and flash here. But this dash seems to fit this interior, so I'm just going to keep the plastic dash because there's less work involved in that one, and it seems to fit. So keep that one. Put this in my don't put that. This in my don't need pile. Because of that, I've got 2 steering wheels as well. This one actually kind of seems like it's a little bit damaged, if you can see that. So between the 2 of them, you've got some cleanup or whatnot. But, this one seeing like it's damaged. I'll clean this one up. But and then my not used pile, I'm not going to get rid of it, but I'll keep it until the project's completely done. Here's the taillights from the donor kit. I probably use those. I'll plan on using those, but the kit came with headlights and taillights, and these taillights are molded in red resin. And actually look like they're from the 68 and 69 kit. So we'll see which ones actually fit too. So I'll have to fit them and see how they go, because these are tunneled in there quite a bit. And I don't know if you can see in there about if there's any mounting spaces, but I'll figure out those. The headlights I definitely need. They're at least clear resin, pretty nice. So there's that. This is the grill insert for the very front center, which was nice that it was provided, but it's got a front license plate in there. So don't need that. These are the grills, for the 73 and 4. I had to make sure they fit, so I made sure they all fit before I did the painting. So these ones got some attention and everything, and they fit now. So they're just going to need to be painted black, but those are definitely keepers. I need those. A set of bumpers. These are resin and chromed. They seem to fit pretty nice, but I also have a set from the other kit. I'm not sure. These are from the donor kit. Not sure how well they fit, so I'll be trying both, but I'm pretty sure these are the ones that are going to be used. but I've got those as well just in case. Another thing is kind of odd. In this kit came a clear shifter, which is cool. You know, it doesn't really matter what it's made out of. But the donor kit had a chrome one, same thing. So I'll definitely be using the chrome one, but keeping this one as the spare. So that's planned to keep. That one's in my possible pile. Side pipes. The Manta Ray has side pipes, which these are really, really cool. Chrome is decent, you know, but those are definitely keeping. I got 2 sets of seats. I got a set of resin seats, but they're exactly the same as these, you know, from the donor kit. And the backs haven't been glued on, but these are the backs right here. So I'll probably end up using these because I think they require a little bit less cleanup, but I'm not sure yet because these are cast really nice as well. And then this is the back side where you can't really see it anyway. And there's no back window, so you really seeing the back of the seats is really not going to happen with this particular build. So I've got all these extra seats, so figuring out which ones I'm going to keep and which ones I'm not. So we'll put these in this one and those in that one. So I've got some things to figure out. But I've been pretty excited about the body. And one of the last things, and these didn't come in the kits. This is just stuff that I got from Jerry Chevalier. Photo etched emblems they're all over the place. But these are extras from the Phase 3 GT. But I got a couple of motion ones on this one. I need these motion ones. So plan on using those. Don't think there are any engine callouts on this particular one. I believe it was only a 350 car if I remember right. But I'll have to refresh my history. I do have some 350 badges and some SS badges. This is kind of a mismatch here of all kinds of stuff, but you know, these I don't believe are available from Jerry Chevalier, but I got them from him a while ago. Some extras and parts kits, so I'll be using some of them on this build as well. So I got a lot of stuff to do, but the hardest part is done here. It's just mainly now I'll get the blackout done on the body, get the decals on the body, get that cleared. And then the rest of this is all pretty much black. But figure out what I got, reacquainting myself with this project and everything I got. It appears I got everything I need. I'll look into the tires and things. So, you know, I'm pretty sure it's 2 fronts and 2 rears here. Some were sanded on. Some of this work I didn't do. This is how I got some of this stuff. But some of it was the rest of it. I wasn't sure what I was going to use. Love to have cut the hood open, but as thick as this is and all that in there, wasn't designed that way. And at the end of the day, it's going to be on my shelf. And I'm looking forward to this one being done as well. But quite an interesting car. And that's when, you know, the Baldwin Motion cars were getting more, less performance and more just whatever the customer wanted, basically. But very interesting car. So anyways, I'm going to continue on and start playing with this some more. But I wanted to introduce this particular project, give it a real introduction so you guys can see pretty much what I got, what I played with, and how far it's kind of gotten here. But we'll be cranking on this one here quite a bit and some other ones since I've finished up some other projects. So thanks you guys for tuning in, subscribing, and all your comments and everything. I really do appreciate it. And check out my sponsors there. Check out Hobby Nut Models and everything. See what he's gotten in lately. You guys, you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time.